All right, so we're going to look at how do you run a degree audit. So your degree audit is going to be helpful for you to see where your classes are plugging in to your degree plan. And so you can run a degree audit at any time you want, morning, noon, or night, in the middle of the semester, after you register. I highly encourage you to run a degree audit after you register just to make sure that the classes you're registered for are accounting for the requirements you expected. So from the Texas One Stop page, you will click on undergraduate degree planning, and then you'll scroll here to where it says Interactive Degree Audit. When you click your Interactive Degree Audit, it's going to take you to the main page. Your page may look a little bit different because you're a student and I'm logged in as a staff. But somewhere you should be able to see that you have audit requests and audit results. So if you click on the request, you'll plug in your EID, and it will pop up, it should pop up your information. So this is a fake student record that we're going to look at today. You can see that when you start running your degree audit, you can plug in your information manually, which you would start with your catalog. If you're unsure of what your catalog is, typically it's going to be after you've graduated from high school and the first semester you enroll in a Texas public institution at a college level. So that could be a community college, or that could be a four-year institution. And if you're confused which catalog you go by, you can always ask BSW Advising. And also below, sometimes you'll have your profile already made that will tell you which catalog you are going by. So you can run your degree audit if you already know that you're happy with whatever one of these profiles that are made for you with your major, your catalog. If you do a minor certificate, you can just hit this button here and it will automatically run it. But if you were exploring and you wanted to see what it would look like for you to do a certain minor certificate or major, I would recommend you plug in manually. So you would plug in social work. You can do your social work major, or if you're in the honors program, you can plug in honors. And then if you have a minor certificate, you can plug those in as well. So we'll just play around with one just for you to see. And if you scroll back up, you can choose, do you want your classes to be including the semester you're in? Do you want it to include your future classes? So I would encourage you to do that after you register, to click this option so you can see. And then also there's an option to look at, if you plan out your semester through the UT Planner, for future semesters, you can look at that, more semesters in the future at one time. So let's assume you registered for classes and you want to double check. You just hit submit. It's going to pull up your degree audit. It takes a minute to run. So it will turn blue when it's ready. So we can see that it's ready. So we would click here. And now it's pulled up your degree audit. So we can see, just to verify that you are doing social work, it's following the 2022 catalog. You can see that there's a minor of AFR here. And you can also see that you need to have your courses completed by the summer of 28, because that is when this catalog expires. When you scroll down, there's a key here that you can use that's going to let you know how to read the following courses. And before we do that, we're going to look at this bar here. Now, this bar here tells you if you're on track to graduate. It will usually kind of say green, yellow, or red, just depending on where you are. It does not tell you prerequisite sequencing, so it's a little bit misleading. So you always want to check with your BSW advisor to make sure you're making the appropriate progress. What is important to know is that this percentage is what assigns you what time you register. So the higher this percentage is, the earlier you register. Therefore, if you have coursework that you've taken at a community college or credit by exam that you still need to claim, I would encourage you to claim that and or send your transcripts in as soon as possible so that this number can jump up a little bit, so then you can register a bit earlier next registration. When you scroll down, you're going to see, as I mentioned, the checklist here, your key that you can see. If it's grayed out, it means the course is in progress. It says IP. You'll see a little flag that says FT for a future class. And then this little flag here that says PL for planned. And again, remember that's if you're choosing how you run your audit, what options you choose. And remember, we chose in progress and future. Then whenever you're looking at an actual class, if the degree requirement is just white, then you haven't started it. If it's partially completed, it's going to turn gray. And if it's completed, it'll turn green. So something that's important to know when you're looking at your degree audit is this classes excluded part at the very top. So if something kicks out at the very top of your audit here, then that means it's not counting. So you Q dropped it, maybe you withdrew, maybe you failed the class, or it's just, of course, we don't accept for your major, or maybe it's a class you already have credit for and you registered for the same exact credit. So it's always important to check this box at the top of classes excluded in case you do have a class going here and you weren't expecting it to go there. If you don't understand why, you can always click over here on the plus minus button to see, and we can see here that this class was Q dropped, right? If it's still unclear, please come in and speak with BSW Advising or send us an email and we can clarify. Then when you're looking at your degree audit, it's going to list courses for core requirements first, and then it'll follow through your degree plan accordingly. So we can see that this is green. This class is done. Again, you can click the plus minus over here if you want to see what the class was, what your grade was, when you took it, etc. And then here's an example of a class requirement that hasn't been started. So it's white. It is something that you need to take. The grayed out here means you started the requirement, but you still have more to go. And you can see that the columns are telling you how many hours you're lacking right here. So for example, for the core natural science or science and technology requirement, it does require 9 hours. So this person has taken 6 hours and they still need 3 more. And again, you can see here the classes that they've already taken towards that requirement. When you scroll down, you'll see your flag requirements, followed by general education, and then your major. And your major courses for social work specifically are listed kind of according to the progress you need to be going and prerequisite throughout the major. Again, that's specific for social work. Not all majors have their courses listed in that order. And then when you scroll down, you'll see for minor and certificate where it's going to plug in your classes if you wanted to pursue a minor certificate. That is optional for social work students, so it's not mandatory. But this particular student, we ran it with an AFR minor. And following that, you have the fine print on your degree plan, as we refer to it, will show up on your degree audit. And this is where you have to have specific GPA requirements. So we can see your UT GPA, we can see your social work GPA. And then when you scroll down, the credit hours, and this is important information for you to know because you have to have certain hours in residence, you have to have certain hours of upper division coursework, and of course, you have to have a specific amount of courses to graduate total hours. And your classes that you take and the above requirements, everything above, should start, plugging in naturally into these. You will check these kinds of fine print rules with your BSW advisor every time you come in for advising, just to make sure that if you need to take electives, that they are, that you do know about them ahead of time. Now, at the bottom of the degree plan, you're going to see this section with some more classes that might pop in. And it says these hours are not counting. And a lot of times students stop reading there and they forget to finish reading and see that it says for a specific degree requirement, but it's still counting for overall hours. So that means the class is counting as an elective. It's not getting kicked out of your audit like the courses at the top were being kicked out. It's just not marking off one of these specific kind of degree requirements for your core, your gen ed, your flags, or your major or minor. So that's what we refer to as elective hours. So sometimes you need electives to count for your fine print requirements of hours. And sometimes maybe you took a class and transfer and you don't necessarily need it, or maybe you changed your major at some point, you don't necessarily need it. Or there's a lot of different other reasons why you might have elective courses. So it's normally students may need a few hours of electives. This is a fake student case, so they have a lot of electives, so that's kind of abnormal. So for an average student, they may have maybe 4 classes or so down here. If a class shows up down here and you were not expecting it to show up here, but you were expecting it to count, for one of the other degree requirements above, then you'll want to check with a BSW advisor about what's going on if you're confused as far as that goes. So again, that's pretty much it for how do you run a degree audit and how do you read it. You can also, if you don't like to look at it in this way, you can look at a list of your classes by the semester that you've taken it. You could look at just what classes you have remaining. So it's taken out all of those green boxes that you've already completed. So sometimes folks like to look at it that way as well. And you have this button here to either show all the details where it's going to open up every of those little boxes so you can see what classes are counting, or hide all of them as well and close them back up. So there you go, everything you need to know to run a degree audit. And of course, you're welcome to come into BSW advising. If you have any questions, just let us know.